Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Idahoan Show. So, as you know, if you've been following my channel, lately I've been doing a series of videos on testing improvised body armor, or rather, testing materials that might conceivably be used as improvised body armor to see whether they're worth considering in that application. And one improvised armor concept that's all over the internet is the idea of using books to stop bullets. Now, there's already a lot of videos out there about this idea, and so initially I was thinking I wouldn't bother to replicate the results that they've already obtained. But the more I started actually looking at the other videos that are available on the subject, the more I realized I don't necessarily agree with some of their assumptions, and so I decided to do my own test after all, and that's what we're doing today. Now, one of the main assumptions that I disagree with in these other videos that I saw is the idea that you should use high-quality hardcover textbooks as armor. The concept seems to be that these, high-quality hardcover textbooks are going to be have the highest tensile strength paper, and they're just going to provide better protection than anything else. Well, maybe they would, but I don't think that the difference between high-quality paper and low-quality paper in terms of the ballistic protection that it affords is really going to be that great. And the other thing is that a high-quality hardcover textbook in something like engineering or the sciences is going to cost, $200-300 if you buy it new. And for that much money, there are other things you could buy that unquestionably are going to provide better ballistic protection than any textbook that's ever been published. For a few $100s, you can buy steel trauma plates, you can buy Kevlar materials. There's all kinds of things you can buy that would make better armor than a textbook if you're willing to spend a couple $100s. And for that reason, I don't think it's practical to use those high-quality textbooks as armor. And even in a post-apocalyptic scenario, I think, if anything, that concept would be amplified because, the reason that these textbooks are so expensive is they contain a lot of valuable information. Today that's useful for things like getting a college degree and earning a living. In a hypothetical post-apocalyptic environment, that kind of information would be even more valuable because it'll teach you things like how to cultivate crops and grow your own food, how to make gunpowder, or understand the chemistry that you need to understand so that you can manufacture your own gunpowder. Maybe how to dress wounds. There's all kinds of valuable information in those books that would make any person with sense hesitant to use them as armor, whether today or in some hypothetical post-apocalyptic environment where they're trying to build improvised body armor. So, if it's not practical to use high-quality hardcover textbooks as armor, what could we use? Well, one thing that comes to mind is a phone book. These are readily available, they're very inexpensive. This is the kind of thing that seems like it would make practical improvised body armor if it actually provides any ballistic protection. So I've got a phone book to test here. This obviously is made out of relatively low quality, low strength, pulp type paper. But then I've also got this catalog. This, I guess, is from a jeweler's supply company of some sort. And, this, even though it is a catalog that was sent to us for free, is printed on relatively high-quality, high-tensile strength, glossy paper. The same kind of paper that you'd find in those high-quality engineering textbooks. I guess this jeweling supply company must make enough money that they can afford to do that so that they can print nice, high-quality color pictures to convince more people to buy more things for more money so they can keep printing catalogs on nice paper. Anyway, So I've got this catalog to test as well. It'll be interesting to see if this is actually any more successful than the phone book at stopping bullets. It may give us some idea of how much difference the quality of the paper actually makes. And then finally, in our previous tests, we had observed that while wafer board is not effective at all at stopping bullets by itself, it becomes a lot more effective if it's coupled with sheets of steel interspersed between the layers of wafer board. So, extending that concept to books, I took some tin cans and cut them up, flattened them out as best I could, and then sandwiched them in between the pages of another phone book and duct taped it all together. Now, this is much thinner sheet steel than what I used for the sheet metal in the sheet metal and wafer board test. You know, the steel that these tin cans are made of is only about 1/100th of an inch thick, but I do have about 10 layers of it in this phone book. Tin cans, by the way, were never actually made out of tin, contrary to what you may have heard from other sources. The reason they were called tin cans is because originally they were plated with tin. But tin cans have always been made out of thin sheet steel. And so it'll be interesting to see if this thin sheet steel enhances the ballistic protection afforded by a phone book. Anyway, so I'm going to wrap a little bit of duct tape around the outside of these phone books, or the phone book and the catalog, just to keep them from flopping open as we're shooting them. And then we will take them down to the gravel pit and see what they're capable of stopping. Okay, let's start with phone book versus 9mm. I'd say that phone book is definitely not bulletproof. Now let's try the jeweler's supply catalog, see if that high-quality paper makes any difference. Once again, I'm just going to be using a 9mm, representing sort of the lower half of the handgun power spectrum. Once again, definitely not bulletproof. Now we'll see if those tin cans make any difference. Doesn't look like that helped much either. I guess for a final test we can stack all three of them on top of each other. Okay, so even with that thickness of material, and some of it being, you know, the high quality, high tensile strength paper, 9mm bullets were going right through the whole stack. You know, we can see one of them lodged in the tire here that I had behind the stack. And so, you know, these did slow it down somewhat in order for the bullet to be captured there, but they didn't stop the bullet. Okay, so based on what we've seen here today, I think I would definitely not recommend using books as improvised body armor, despite the popularity of that idea on the internet. Anyway, until next time, thank you for watching the Idahoan Show.